Chuck, you want to record this too? It pains my heart to say I also agree with you.
Who do you know that actually wants to screw in iPhone parts at a factory in the U.S.? American consumers want cheap iPhones, but they don't want these jobs, and why should they in a
But I need for all of those billionaires to step to the front of the class, because what have we learned? Tim Cook gave $1 million to Donald Trump. This is what it got you. Jeff Bezos
said when it comes to those screws that Chinese laborers, particularly women, have smaller hands. Literally one of the reasons for why they would want to keep manufacturing there.
Can I do one more piece?
He wants to laugh at Tim Cook's face because he is the one that gave the money to him, and now look at what you brought on yourself.
Well, here's my out of luck.
Private lab at Yale that I run crunched the numbers this morning. As a result of these reciprocal tariffs, we're going to be in a situation where the average American family is going to pay $3,800 more each year for literally everything that they buy. And
hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. You can't believe it, and you have to watch to the end because I have some crazy news for you. But Trump is back on with these tariffs. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
Prices could get, well, stupid if you need a new smartphone. Tonight, President Trump is reigniting his trade war, this time threatening to slap a 25% tariff on tech giant Apple if it refuses to make iPhones in the U.S. for U.S. customers. But the ultimatums didn't stop there.
You have the power to tariff one single company, and why would you want to hurt an American company in that way?
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair.
Trump is also taking aim at the European Union, imposing a 50% tariff that's set to go into effect June 1st, because he says negotiations are going nowhere.
I just said it's time that we play the game the way I know how to play the game. You know, they've taken advantage of other people representing this country, and they're not going to do that any longer. Yeah, I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%.
Well, today.
So this segment is from Friday. 50% tariffs on the European Union. Check this out.
Tariff turmoil once again, seeing markets drop. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ, you see it there, all closing in the red. Joining us in our fifth seat is Natasha Sarin. She is the president of the Budget Lab at Yale and a former Treasury official in the Biden administration. I'm starting with Chuck Rocha because I saw that chin drop to the table as soon as we were talking about these tariffs. What's on your mind?
Look, I was looking to see how much an iPhone cost because I knew it cost a lot. I didn't realize it cost $1,200. Now,
that's what that was about.
Yeah, and I wrote down some other numbers down here to say that if we were to make these things in America, that would go to $3,500. And I checked that to see what's the wage in China to make an iPhone, and it's, wait for it, $3.63 an hour is what it cost in China to make. The minimum wage in California, I don't have to look that up, is $16.50. The folks who like cheap iPhones are the folks that voted for Donald Trump. This is where it's going to hurt him the most. The parties have switched, and it embarrasses me every single day that a lot of working class folks who didn't go to college like me love them some Donald Trump. But they also love cheap stuff from China. This is where it's going to bite him.
All right, Malik, when you hear this and you see the markets react, and every time he opens his mouth about tariffs, somebody gets hurt.
So there are some good things that Donald Trump has done when it comes to tariffs. I think that the 10% baseline is a very good starting point. Apparently, there have been some issues with...
It's not a good starting point. That's a 10% tax increase on all of us for no reason, on a time where costs for goods are extremely high. Money is tight. People don't... What is it? Like 60% of people don't even have $600 or $500 saved, something like that. No, it's not a good time for this.
Negotiations with the EU. As someone who literally, as of today, just upgraded a new phone, I'm glad that I got this. I am glad that I got this phone. Now, this was already $1,100. I can imagine paying even more for that. And I actually agree with Chuck here. And this is another one of those instances where you ask...
my phone real quick.
It's on tape, don't worry.
But you ask yourself whether or not this is one of those other instances where a more scalpel approach could work. I think that Donald Trump, in this case, he probably is doing a similar thing to what he did to China. He's trying to actually get them to the table. Whether or not you have to threaten a 50% tariff is another story. And I do agree, though, if we get to a point, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about phones or the price that we pay in the stores, if Trump voters are having to pay more, and then me, in being a Trump voter, we are going to have a problem because I want to pay as little as possible for quality merchandise. So I do think that it will be a problem if customers, whether it's Trump, supporters or not, if we have to pay more, at whatever point that is, it will be a problem for Donald Trump.
Now, Pete, see, one of the things
Walmart already said that they can't eat the tariffs. Obviously, they're a small margin business. They're forced to pass on the cost. Prices are already going up. And guys, let me quickly say, it's been reported that Europe and all these other countries are just ignoring Trump and are working around him. Like, this is the thing, is Trump thinks he can bully the world. The way he bullies these weak, spineless people that won't push back in the Republican Party. He's just so accustomed to getting away with anything from just a bunch of wusses that now he's dealing with other nations that are just like, we don't have to deal with this child and his childlike tantrums. And they're working with each other, squeezing us out. Trump thinks like the world needs us. Like they're not, they're semi-developed. They're fully developed nations, fully able to communicate with each other. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. And like, this is what happens when you elect someone who's honestly, he's just a very, very unintelligent man. Business fails after business fails. For someone who's literally handed millions. He's a terrible businessman. He literally only makes money if he's scamming or committing some type of fraud. There's just example after example. And you may be asking, why doesn't anyone around him stop him? They're scared of him. Right? If Trump hears something, he's such a child. If Trump hears something that he doesn't want to hear, he'll get rid of them. This is the danger of Republicans. They're just so concerned about self-preservation and keeping their jobs. This is the problem with them. And there's some of that in the Democrat Party, but not to this extent. Like, they just won't push back on anything, and it's hurting all of us. They're willing to throw the entire country under the bus. Like, let's just be real. If a Democrat was doing this, Republicans would be out there with their tiki torches chanting, Jews will not replace us. Oh, sorry, that's a different chant. That's a different one they like to go to.
things that if you step back and look at what the Republican Party has been about or said they were about, is less government, less interference with businesses. That is not what's happening here. What's happening?
Well, I think President Trump genuinely wants the iPhone to be manufactured in the United States of America.
But he's telling the company what to do.
Because it's an iconic product, and he wants to be able to say, this is American made. Mm-hmm. There's value in that. But Chuck, you want to record this too? Please. It pains my heart to say I also agree with you.
Oh my God.
But I
What is
agree with
happening?
No, I agree with the fact that a lot of people don't have any clue how much their iPhone costs.
Yeah.
Because they trade in, they get that massive rebate, or they split the cost over months and months and months and months, and don't realize that it's $1,200 or $1,500. And it's, you know, the challenge with what President Trump wants to do. I mean, really, either tactic, whether it's a 25% tariff or bringing manufacturing to the United States, it's the same outcome, as you guys have said. The price will go up, regardless. American labor is not cheap. And there is a consequence to that we're not talking about enough in this conversation, in the entire tariff conversation.
And can I sort of add to that a little bit? Because the problem isn't just that the iPhone would be more expensive. It certainly would. But actually, it is not possible to bring iPhone manufacturing to the United States. Our economy does not support it. We do not have the factories in place to do the work. We do not have workers. Howard Lutnick has said, you know, he wants all the iPhone screws to be screwed in by workers here in the United States. Who do you know that actually wants to screw in iPhone parts at a factory in the U.S.? American consumers want cheap iPhones, but they don't want these jobs. And why should they in a labor market that is as strong as our labor market is today?
Well, can I just piggyback on that real quick? Because the New York Times had an article today going through all the various reasons why manufacturing likely wouldn't come here. And they actually said when it comes to those screws that Chinese laborers, particularly women, have smaller hands. That's literally one of the reasons for why they would want to keep manufacturing
And
there.
can I do one more piece on
That, am I the only one that found that story weird? He seemed a little too excited about that story.
that since we're doing some numbers. So we're in a situation where, as of today, with this 50% EU tariff, we have the highest tariff rates this country has seen since 1909. You said Trump voters aren't going to like when prices go up. The budget lab at Yale that I run crunched the numbers this morning. As a result of these reciprocal tariffs, we're going to be in a situation where the average American family is going to pay $3,800 more each year for literally everything that they buy. And I just don't quite understand how that is a tenable political proposition, especially in the light of an election in 2024 that in meaningful ways felt like it was about inflation and high prices.
Trump lied, like he always does. And that's around a $310 increase a month now that these estimates of these tariffs are going to do. And also, I think Democrats need to make a better connection with tariffs and increased costs for everyone. I think most people get it by now, other than Republican voters, how tariffs actually work. But I think there's a layer to this tariff thing that most people don't really understand that I want to talk about. Think of something like gas prices. When they go up, go down, everyday Americans feel it, right? The poorer you are, the more you'll feel that, obviously. But the rich, they don't care when gas prices go up, go down. It's a drop in the bucket. They don't notice stuff like that. Same with grocery prices, obviously. So think about what these tariffs are doing. This is so that not only are we going to supposedly build manufacturing plants here, right, that are going to be extremely automated, I mean, like you've never seen before, with little to no workers. So we're not only just building those physically, but we're literally setting up these businesses with customers. We're forcing them to have customers being us. Like, this is the only way it works. These tariffs, it's forcing us not to be able to buy stuff from over there that's cheaper and forcing us to buy it right here that's more expensive. They're forcing us to be their customers. And for certain products, it makes sense, right? You're building a car industry, which the car industry is very important to the U.S. economy. For certain things, it makes sense. But for other things, like toys, really? Like, there's just so many things that we're never going to make here. And then to force us, even for the stuff that we are going to make here, right? To force us to pay tariffs on a time like this, where people are struggling. Like, guys, I want you to understand, they could tax the rich. They could tax the rich and be out of this so-called problem that they created with these tariffs. But no, instead, they want to take it from us. Instead of taking it from the rich, they're trying to find any way possible to do these tax cuts. This is what this is about. And guess what? If these manufacturing plants get built, on top of that, guess who's going to be benefiting? The super rich who are owning these plants. There's going to be barely any people there working. And if they were, then they're not going to be making anything. Like I said, it's going to be automated like you could never imagine.
Final season of America, I would often say is that this would be all very entertaining if I didn't actually live here and if real people weren't actually affected. But I need for all of those billionaires to step to the front of the class. Because what have we learned? Tim Cook gave $1 million to Donald Trump. This is what it got you. Jeff Bezos gave money. All of them give money, and the same thing keeps happening. As soon as he doesn't like something that you do, it's not buying you influence. It's not buying you a yes. It's not buying all the things that you allegedly gave money to him to get. So once again, I need people to understand, bullies keep bullying. They don't stop. You give them what they want. They only want more. It's a reason why they use the phrase, and I'm not calling Donald Trump this, don't negotiate with terrorists. It's a reason why they say that. It's because once you cave in, it never ceases. And this is another example. So part of me wants to laugh at Tim Cook's face because he is the one that gave the money to him. And now look at what you brought on yourself.
Well, here's my out of left field idea. President Trump has met with Tim Cook.
Wait a minute, did you say out of left field, not out of right field?
Good point. It's just a phrase
just
people
asking.
use, Sarah.
I'm just asking.
Left field.
Yeah, whatever. It's a baseball time. Anyway, so President Trump has met with Tim Cook twice or three times in the last week in the Middle East and at the White House. Again, this is a crazy out of right field thought. Is perhaps Apple is moving something to the U.S. or maybe friend-shoring it, near-shoring it to Central America, and Trump is throwing this out there in advance of an announcement so he can say, it's because of
he
me.
did it because
That he
of
can
him.
say, I won
So, like,
something.
maybe, but the reality is that they have already started onshoring and friendshoring to countries that are not China in order to help deal with the national security risks. They're moving big parts of their production to India and Vietnam. And so, if anything, the way these tariffs are being effectuated in this trade policy, this is like the 56th time or something that tariff policy has moved since President Trump took office. And I feel like that is making the markets unstable, but it's also a business environment that's really unstable. If you're Tim Cook trying to plan where exactly should you be doing your manufacturing, if not China?
You brought up India, and specifically Trump mentioned not building factories in India when he sent out his social media on this, saying that he was going to put tariffs of 25% onto Apple. I do want to ask you, Chuck, when you sort of step back from all of this and you look at the bigger picture of all of this, how are businesses supposed to operate when this just keeps shifting every single day? This tactic we have seen before, and Trump says, huge win, China is now coming to the table, but really he capitulated.
Long-term investment is really important for business communities and for workers because that's where the investment happens. But I'll also say electorally, and we don't give enough credit to Donald Trump here. Write that down somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
What is happening
Yeah,
today?
this is quite the night.
Trade is somebody who lost their job. I worked in a tire factory. A lot of y'all know that. That job went overseas where my daddy worked, where I worked, where 6 of my uncles worked, and lots of my cousins. I know the trauma that happens in local communities when those jobs are outsourced in rural East Texas. So there are parts of our economy where the scalpel approach on tariffs with steel, aluminum, car parts, gasoline, wood, our paper industry, we have unbuckled and sent to China. Like that kind of thing could be brought back. Those kind of jobs could be here. And those jobs pay $20, $30 an hour, and we're used to paying that for those. It's the small, cheap toys or the iPhones is where it really hurts folks.
All right, we are going to have a lot of other things to discuss, but that was a good discussion.
Yeah, everyone can agree with that. There's no one's going to disagree with that. It's just, and guys, just understand that this is at a time, again, when they're trying to kick off millions of people off Medicaid. So not only are they increasing costs on all of our goods, they're also trying to take healthcare away from some of the most vulnerable and poor people. For what? For tax cuts for the rich. I mean, look at the plan that they just released. All the benefits go to the rich, almost all of it. This is just to taxify tax cuts. The same thing with the tariffs. Oh, look we got so much money coming in. The money's coming from us. It is unbelievable. Also, that the super rich can get their tax cuts. Tax cuts are not enough. They want manufacturing plants too. Those plants are not enough. They want the customers as well. Force American customers to be buying expensive crap in the U.S. And like Republicans out there, I know a lot of you are struggling financially. Does this at all sound fair to you? And if you think I'm lying about anything, look it up, comment, and we can go back and forth. I think we all deserve a chance at living a comfortable life. Why should some of us, the super rich, get to live off our hard work? Like, understand, they refuse to pay their fair share. They're paying a fraction, less than half the tax rate that you and me are paying. Why? Shouldn't we be allowed to pay a lower amount of taxes? If they pay their fair share, we could be paying lower. You could get that house. You can get that small business idea that you've been thinking about. You can get that car. But none of these things are possible as long as the rich, they talk about redistribution of wealth. This is the redistribution. They've been stealing from us for decades now, guys. They're trying to be cute with these tariffs. Like, this is the redistribution of wealth from the poorest to the richest. They've been doing it for years. Don't let them trick you with that stupid word. It's redistribution if we tax the rich. No, you haven't been taxing them for decades. They've been robbing us blind. Cut the crap. And guys, last message, you will not believe this. This segment was on Friday. I found out on Sunday, which was yesterday, the 50% tariffs are now gone temporarily within 2 days. I mean, you can't make this up. And they called Biden old and out of it. Like, what do you call this? Trump called Kamala incompetent. I mean, what do you call this? The man is completely deranged. He's just an absolute buffoon. He's a moron. We all know it. I think Republicans know. They just hate the other side so much they can't admit that. But I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel, really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.